afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Eric Chilton and Tahisha Moise this afternoon. Of course, the 4 to 5 is an interactive newscast. We like to chat with you on our live streams. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and we will chat back.
Day one of the Republican National Convention started today in Charlotte, with the Republican Party formally nominating President Donald Trump for a second term in office.
Right. Vice President Mike Pence was also renominated for his office. He formally thanked the delegates in person at the convention in Charlotte today. Now, the four-night event is themed honoring the great American story. Among the list of speakers on tonight's agenda, Mark and Patricia McCloskey, a couple charged with pointing guns at protesters from their front yard, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley, and Donald Trump Jr. President Donald Trump is set to deliver his formal acceptance speech from the White House on Thursday. Now, President Trump also stopped by the Republican National Convention today in Charlotte. He's going to spend some time talking to groups that help feed people in need in our state. The president is wrapping up a visit to the Farmers to Families Food Box program site in River Mills. He toured the Flavor First Growers and Packers organization that packs up boxed meals and ships them out to families in need. The Farmers to Families Food Box program helps farmers and ranchers get back to work while supporting local food banks and families during the pandemic.
There have been protests in Charlotte for 3 straight nights. Those protesters were demonstrating against the Republican National Convention happening in the Queen City. Now, the protests did start out peaceful but became violent. Police say protesters moved barricades, construction cones, and trash cans. Some even blocked traffic moving slowly. Police say at least 2 people were arrested yesterday. Officers were directed to remove loose bricks around the city so they couldn't be used to cause damage to buildings or harm anyone.
We turn now to your 4 to 5 roundup. White House counselor Kellyanne Conway says she will be leaving the Trump administration at the end of the month. Conway says she is leaving for her family and adds distance learning this fall for her 4 kids is challenging. She says the move is completely her choice. Her husband, George Conway, says he is also stepping back from his role in a political action committee to devote more time to family matters. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy says he will restore mail sorting machines if Congress gives the Postal Service $1 billion. He told members of a House committee that it would cost that much to put those machines back. He's currently testifying in front of Congress members today over concerns about mail delivery delays before the election. Democrats say DeJoy is responsible for the delays that they believe could impact election results. DeJoy says the Postal Service is capable and committed to delivering ballots securely and on time. The FDA authorized emergency use of a convalescent plasma treatment for COVID-19. Commissioner Stephen Hahn says early trials of the treatment indicate a 35% better chance of survival. He says additional data is needed, but the treatment clearly meets the criteria for emergency use authorization. And New Zealand is extending a lockdown in the country's largest city in an attempt to stamp out a coronavirus outbreak. The 2-week lockdown was set to end on Wednesday, but will now go through Sunday. The Prime Minister says they need to be sure that they found the perimeter of the outbreak and more cases won't pop up. New Zealand went 102 days without any new cases from community spread before a cluster was discovered earlier this month.
The Duke Blue Devils are taking their own precautions in regards to COVID-19. In fact, Duke University will start its fall sports program season without any spectators in the stands. WFMY News 2's Luke Liddon joins us now with a look at the reason behind the decision. Luke?
Yeah, Tahisha, Duke and the entire ACC are very hopeful they'll have a college football season this upcoming year, but able to make that happen, like you mentioned, they took an extra step of precaution, which means no fans in the stands. That's at least the plan for the fall season for all Duke home games, including football. Now, the only people allowed at the stadium right now or venue will include essential game management personnel and broadcast media, while all the traditional parking lots used by fans on game days, those will also be closed. It's a tough pill to swallow, of course, but one that seems necessary in terms of health for everyone involved, including the fans and the players. Duke's athletic director released a statement on the news saying in part, quote, "Given the unique and challenging circumstances, this determination was reached with the health and safety of our fans, student athletes, coaches, and staff at the forefront," end quote. As for fans who already had season tickets, the university released a statement saying they will send out an email in the next few days to give them some various options on what they can do for the upcoming season moving forward. As for their home opener, right now it's set for September 19th against Boston College. Let's just hope it happens.
All right, Luke, thank you. Well, more schools are moving their fall semester online for now. UNC Charlotte and East Carolina University students will start the year with remote learning. UNC Charlotte will stay online until at least October 1st. Classes start September 7th, and students can start moving into their dorms on September 26th. The ECU is changing to remote learning for the entire semester. This starts Wednesday, but classes are canceled today and tomorrow, so students can get settled in for the switch to remote learning.
As more colleges and universities delay returning back to in-person instruction, students are searching for discounts on tuition. Yeah, there are petitions circulating the web right now across the nation calling for schools to give students discounted rates since remote learning does not give students the full college experience. Meanwhile, college leaders say remote learning is worth the full cost of tuition. Some schools already implemented 10% discounts. Other schools like Harvard have refused to budge. Here in North Carolina, UNC Chapel Hill did offer students the ability to cancel housing contracts without penalty and gave prorated refunds on meal plans.
All right, so I asked you if you thought that schools should cut tuition costs since more universities are moving online. Let's take a look at what you had to say today on Facebook. We'll start with Adrienne Sauls. She says they shouldn't have to pay for housing and meal plans if they're unable to live there, but tuition should remain the same. Professors still have to teach, even if it's online, and they still have to grade all of the students' work. Also, the students will still have a degree regardless of whether classes are in person or online. Bobby Odom said, "I think they should cut the expenses that were added into the tuition for use of supplies and equipment that are used in the college or university, but not the teachers or professors' pay." Lauren Randall says, yes, the students are not using room and board and should not have to pay for it. And Tom Green says, you're paying for an education. Does a virtual education cost the university more or less money? That should dictate what happens to the tuition. Universities aren't trying to make a profit, so if they're saving money while moving online, then those savings should be passed along to the students. So everyone seems to think that tuition might need to stay the same, but maybe cut out those room and board and dining hall fees. Yeah, I mean, if an online education is just as valuable as one they're getting in the classroom, it's hard to make the argument that they should get money back for tuition.
Yeah, it is. I will say, though, having taken online classes, hard to put the same effort as online as I did in person. But if you aren't using those on-campus services, you aren't living in the dorms, you aren't eating the food there, I don't think it's fair to make students pay for that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's going to be like a gray area in the short term for the next few years until we kind of figure out what's going to happen, because they still have all those buildings and all the cost with the buildings and whether somebody's living in them or not. So there's going to have to be, they'll have to figure out how much are we going to reduce our student body by? Can we rent those buildings out? I mean, a lot of questions, and the short term is going to be tough for colleges, I think. All right, let's talk about a forecast. That's a little more certain, isn't it? We know what's happening with this. We're starting to see temperatures, today a little cooler than expected. We were thinking yesterday in mid 80s, and we may see that in some areas. Burlington definitely there at 85 degrees. We've got 82 in Greensboro and Winston-Salem, 83 in High Point, 81 Lexington, Asheboro at 82. All right, satellite and radar pretty calm right now. A couple of you saw some showers earlier in the day, but again, we're starting to see that high pressure move in and kind of take over for a little bit. Some of the cloud cover, in fact, a little more than expected from Marco, is lifting back up to the north. A lot of South Carolina getting heavier showers right now as that system moves by. But again, that high pressure is expected to kind of push over a little bit to the west. We think we'll go mainly dry as we head into your Tuesday, definitely into Wednesday or so. But looking at Marco, kind of fell apart here. Winds at 40 miles per hour. You can see all that rain and all that, the shower activity basically going to move west into Louisiana and Texas over the next day or two. And then Laura is one that we're going to watch very closely. In just a little bit, we'll show you the future track, because some of this is shifting that moisture our way by the weekend. We'll talk about that going on. You know, if you're a parent, then you know that call from your kid's school system, or should I say, multiple calls. That's usually the case. So after a while, you almost feel like you know the person that calls you sometimes multiple times a day. Now, some appreciate the calls, some not so much. But in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system, the communications director there, Brent Campbell, has developed a following. Now, we're talking about from memes to T-shirts. Like it or not, everybody is talking about him. I asked him to weigh in on this.
So Brent, when I heard this, I said I got to call my old buddy because this was hilarious. People are giving you a hard time. I want to talk first about why they're giving you a hard time, and then we'll get to some of the memes. Talk about that.
Well, you know, luckily, I take it as a good time. I'm so excited that families are taking the messaging intentional. I mean, that was kind of the point here, was to be intentional and kind of give folks a sense of certainty and connectivity and continuity in a time when maybe we aren't experiencing those things.
Yeah, sometimes I think we need that little break. And I was looking at some of the memes, and you got to talk to me about some of these. We're going to show you the one that was the take on the State Farm commercial. What was that one?
Oh, that just popped up. They keep popping up. My phone keeps blowing up, and people keep tagging me to the State Farm one. You know, that's that popular commercial that's out there right now about the husband that's on his phone late at night. Somebody made that one.
My favorite one, though, I love the keep calm. This is Brent Campbell. That's great. But my favorite one is that smile you get when all the moms in Forsyth County want you to call them. That is hilarious. Now, wait, you told me, too, that is there a T-shirt? What is that?
So apparently some parents reached out last weekend to me, and they had put together a series of T-shirts that they wanted to sell as a fundraiser for their elementary school, which is the Meadowlark Elementary School, I believe in this case. But the one that I particularly like says, our schools are empty, but our voicemail is full, thanks to Brent Campbell. So I guess I'm doing my part in that case.
That is perfect. I love it. Well, look, that means you're doing a great job, Brent. If people notice like that, that means that you're doing something right, my friend.
I mean, I'm excited that they're noticing. I really am. I mean, with all seriousness, all due seriousness here, this is meant to be something to give parents that we can. So if they want to have a little bit of fun with it, then fantastic. But the bottom line is, in this day and age, and with all the things that we're experiencing, we really want our parents to stay connected. And I'm grateful that they feel connected and that they're having fun with this, and that we can continue to keep them connected.
So I made him promise me that he would record a message for my cell phone that would say, "This is Brent Campbell, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System. Eric is not available." So we'll see if that happens. He says at the end of the day, as long as people get the information they need, he is okay with a little picking.
I love the t-shirt that said, Brent Campbell calls me more than my husband. Honestly, yes. I might call Brent Campbell more than I call my mom sometimes because he's so great at helping us set up stories and answering our questions about Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. That's especially true around the first day of school. So for everyone who's upset about Brent Campbell calling them so much, he has to hear from us all of the time. So thank you, Brent.
I guess it's better to hear something than to hear nothing, right? As I was on Facebook earlier today, I actually saw some of the chatter from some of the moms in Winston-Salem commenting on how much Brent Campbell is calling them. And they said, hey, I heard there are T-shirts out. Where's the link so I can buy that? So Eric, make sure you get that up on the website because inquiring minds want to know.
We will put that on there. And also the Winston-Salem Dash had him autographed baseballs that they're giving out. This guy's becoming a legit celebrity.
Who would have thunk it? All right. Well, continue the conversation with us. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, if you can find us, we're all right there for you. Use our hashtag 4to5. We're everywhere. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to your 4 to 5. Teachers at Jesse Wharton Elementary School got a feeling inside their bones, and it's making them want to dance. Teachers made this video. You can see everybody is dressed up in fun costumes, and they're dancing to Justin Timberlake's Can't Stop the Feeling. Of course, you can see they're all wearing their masks while they dance around the school hallways. They say it's just another way that schools are trying to bring some fun and lightheartedness into this remote learning space. Yeah, we certainly need some stress relief. I find dancing helps me a lot, so maybe that's one way the teachers are letting loose. Also, just connecting with their kids, because all they have is a computer screen at this point, so this is a great way.
Yeah, you already know how I feel about the dancing. I am all for it. It's a great way to relieve stress, and it's a great way to get the kids involved. And you can even get dancing into learning things in school, because you can do the moves to certain things. So I'm all for it. Wear the masks, do what you need to do, and get those kids involved.
That's exactly right. Get them all excited about this, because as Maddie said, they're just staring at the screen. You got to have some connection there. And, Zoom calls sometimes are good, but we need something else going on there. So I love this. I hope my kids' elementary school jumps in.
Yeah, I've seen several examples of teachers and principals all across the Triad who are really stepping up and getting creative on ways to engage with their students. I mean, from creating Bitmoji classrooms to having fun challenges on social media with their kids. They're certainly seeing this as a challenge and not a burden, this remote learning. So kudos to the teachers, all the educators. You are doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate you. More of the 4 to 5 is coming up right after this. We hope you will stick around.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5, everyone. As we all know, this pandemic is taking a toll on all of us. So here is a friendly reminder to make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. So I posted on my Facebook page today asking, what is your form of self-care these days? Let's take a look at some of the comments. Christy says, Candles, an awesome playlist, a glass of wine with my feet up in my screened porch. Sounds like a good night, Christy. Barbara says my Bible, recorded church sermons, phone calls with family and friends, and her cat. Galen Spooner says practicing my violin. Tracy says I like to sip a good cup of coffee and watch Star Trek while crocheting or sewing something pretty. And Marilyn Hodge says I have a swing and a hammock in my backyard. It's a treat to walk out and sit just reading magazines or lay while chatting on the phone. For me, my form of self-care, definitely like to do my skincare routine every night. I like to have a mask on, turn up some candles, some music, and just relax. It's what I love to do.
You know, experts have been stressing from the beginning of this pandemic how important mental health is along with physical health. So I'm glad you asked this question, Tahisha. And then I saw today that Google searches for topics related to anxiety are up and have been up since March. So people really need to pause and think about ways to take care of themselves throughout all this because it's stressful.
No, it is. It's true. And, you know, you add like the job situation for a lot of people with family. I know for me, my time is so as soon as this show is over with and I'm hustling down to help with dinner and feed a small army. And then once we get the two little ones down, that's the time right after that when I can relax, watch an old movie or something. And my wife and I are notorious for going to TCM and watching old classic movies. So that's our thing. That's what we do late. Yeah, the old Cary Grant stuff and stuff you don't see anymore. Let's talk about a forecast. We do see a little change in our outlook. And one of the things, I'm going to start with just what's happening right now because I want to show you the radar. A couple of showers scattered here or there. A bit more cloud cover today than expected for most meteorologists, I will say that. And you look to the south, some heavier rains in the upstate of South Carolina. That is related to Marco, but that system is drifting more to the west. Look at the high pressure ridge. This is important because over the next day or so, notice how it starts to drift back to the west and build back in over the southeastern parts of our country. And that should steer Laura away from us. However, some of the models are showing that high pressure sinking a little bit to the south. What does that do for us? Well, imagine that clockwise flow. That would open the door for some of that moisture to come back our way. So right now, you can see the winds are at 60 miles per hour, just a tropical storm, but it is forecasted to be a Category 2 before it moves ashore right around, well, somewhere probably around the Houston over to New Orleans. That's kind of the area right now. And that should happen Wednesday evening, we think. But look at Saturday as the remnants of that, even though it's just a low pressure center, that could be rain for us. We're going to exercise a little caution in the forecast because that's so far out that track can change dramatically. Let's just go with an isolated shower or two for tonight, that low of 70 degrees. As you head into the next 7 days, we'll go with a almost rain-free Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 88 Tuesday, 91 and 90 Wednesday, Thursday, upper 80s Friday. Rain chances will bump those up to a 30 to 40% chance on Saturday, but highs will drop to the mid 80s. In fact, by Monday of next week, we're down to 84 degrees. The normal high this time of the year is 86.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, my man.
Can you hear me, Tasha? Oh my goodness, Tasha, you are killing me. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you mute your computer or your phone or something, or just turn it down some?
Yeah, I can. I'm sorry. There you go. Is that better?
Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner here with Tahisha Moise and Eric Chilton this Monday afternoon. Of course, this is an interactive show. This is a two-way street, as we like to call it. We're not just talking at you, we want to talk with you. So join the conversation on our live streams and we will chat back. Well, let's begin here with your 4 to 5 roundup this afternoon. An investigation is underway after cell phone video shows police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, shooting a man in the back multiple times as he leaned into a vehicle. Police fired at least 7 shots on Sunday evening toward 29-year-old Jacob Blake. Blake appears to have been shot in the back as he entered the driver's side of an SUV. His children were reportedly inside of the car. It's unclear whether police believe that they saw a weapon. Blake is currently being treated in a Milwaukee hospital and is in serious condition. Angry protests led to an overnight curfew between Milwaukee and Chicago. On this day in 1932, Amelia Earhart embarked on a 19-hour flight from Los Angeles to New Jersey. This made her the first woman to fly solo nonstop from coast to coast. She would later go on to set other records, like becoming the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Earhart mysteriously disappeared while flying over the Pacific Ocean in 1937, and she was declared dead in 1939. The Blue Bell Company plant in downtown Greensboro was recently nominated for historic recognition. It could be part of the National Register of Historic Places. That's the United States official list of properties worthy of preservation. The city says there are 42 other properties and 12 historic districts in Greensboro that are on the National Register. And a Lexington teenager has been through a lot this year. Wake Forest Baptist Health says 18-year-old Shammy Dorsey not only survived COVID-19, but also a heart attack and double pneumonia from the virus. Dorsey spent 95 days in the hospital until he was released. His mother credits the staff for her son still being here. She also says her faith and the power of prayer for her son's recovery helped him pull through. She would often ask the doctors and staff to pray over Dorsey.
We are getting a closer look at the new drill tower and training facilities for the Greensboro Fire Department. Now, the Greensboro Fire Department will start using that new training facility later this month. The new training drill tower and burn building serves more than 580 firefighters. The training facility is located off of North Church Street. Firefighters are also getting new training props to use, and the walls in the drill tower move so instructors can make the rooms different each time. Deputy Chief Dwayne Church says this was an issue with the old facility.
We can practice our tactics and strategies that we want to use on a fire attack in this drill tower. We can also practice our ventilation practices. We can practice high level. We can do rappelling from this. We can practice forcible entry.
New recruits are coming in October 1st. They will be the first class since 1956 not using the old drill tower, which was demolished back in December.
From chariots to dinosaurs and even tigers, 56 different hand-painted figures are now spinning at the new carousel in Greensboro. The Rotary Club's carousel opened today at the Greensboro Science Center. It's open to Science Center members today and tomorrow, and then starting on Wednesday, everyone is invited to come and see the new ride.
Well, this is kind of the pinnacle of the Battleground Parks District. We're basically combining science, history, nature, entertainment all into one giant complex, and the Rotary Club of Greensboro Carousel is just the beginning of that project.
While the new ride can carry 56 people, only 21 are allowed right now to follow social distancing guidelines. You can see the ride also showcases Greensboro's rich history there along the top. It's expected to draw 1 million visitors annually. Science Center members ride for $1, non-members for $2, and the carousel is open 9 to 5 daily.
All right, we'll show you the map here. We've been talking about this high pressure ridge for quite some time, how it's building back to the west. It's part of a kind of an extension of the Bermuda High that resides off the east coast in the Atlantic, near Bermuda, of course. And when you see that build back to the west, notice the arrows that we have drawn there to kind of show you the wind flow around the high, always clockwise in our hemisphere. And that steers Laura, it looks like, away from us, pushes that system more to the west. Some of the models now show that high slipping back to the south. If you imagine that, that means that could steer the remnants of that closer to us. It is a long way between now and Saturday when we think that could happen. So everything kind of up in the air right now. We'll just slightly increase rain chances on Saturday, but don't hold your breath on that just yet. We're still kind of figuring that one out. But last advisory here from the National Hurricane Center, it is a tropical storm with winds at 60, but Laura is expected to increase to Category 2 status as it gets out over the middle of the Gulf with all that warm water. This will happen by Wednesday evening or so. The kind of target area somewhere between just west of New Orleans and Houston, Texas. We'll watch that. It will make its way around the periphery of that high, right around the edge. And then by Saturday, again, we could see a slight increase in showers. We'll hold that at about a 40% for now. In the meantime, we are dry, 88 to 91. That's the range of highs for the rest of the work week. And this weekend, mid 80s with slightly increased rain chances Saturday, slight chance on Sunday.
All right, so I'm going to have you remember something that you saw on TV, no doubt. The president, right, signing that executive order extending the federal unemployment benefit.
Right, it was an extra $300 from the feds, another possible $100 from the state.
Right, the money is what made the headlines, right? It wasn't as much as, oh my gosh, $600 before, but it was something, right? The LWA benefits, or lost wages assistance, is only for 3 weeks. The selected dates, the weeks ending August 1st, 8th, and 15th. So if you were already receiving unemployment benefits or you applied during those dates, you can be eligible for that supplement. But here's another detail. If you applied for unemployment, but your payout was never more than $100, you're not eligible for this.
If an individual had a determination in which they were eligible for a weekly benefit amount of $100 or more, they may be eligible for this $300 supplement. If an individual works and their weekly payout drops below the $100, we understand that they would still be eligible for the supplemental payment because their determination was in excess of the $100.
So that initial determination is a really big deal. Also, 3 weeks only for folks who have made over $100. And there's one more detail that you need to know about this, and we're going to talk about it at 6 o'clock. Tonight at 5:30, though, before all of that, your questions about COVID are being answered. Experts from Cone Health will be answering those questions. Text them 336-379-5775. Now, let me say this. There is no one who is exempt from COVID-19. No one. Some folks, depending on age and ethnicity, have less symptoms or sometimes worse symptoms. Why is that? We're going to explain that answer to that question and much more for you tonight.
Zoom is back online after a partial outage this morning. Now, that outage was fixed by 12:30 this afternoon, and the issue prevented users from being able to start or join meetings and webinars. And it's an issue that impacted many students here in the Triad. Some of our school districts use Zoom and different technologies as a way to power their classrooms, but all Triad districts that use the program issued statements saying that students would not be counted absent if Zoom prevented them from logging on to class. So that is some good news. In the meantime, Jalen Gilkey, we all know this school year is different. We all know technical difficulties will come with the territory, right? Technology, of course, can be unpredictable, and many people commenting on this story on our Facebook page. What did they have to say, Jalen?
Yet, Tahisha, more tech issues for parents and students to have to deal with for this virtual back to school. We asked you all at home how to tell us about some of your experiences this morning. Our first comment comes from Shannon. She says her son's school told him to sign into Canvas and do assignments for the day. Our next comment comes from Melissa. She says her daughter's Zoom worked just fine this morning. We're thankful for that. Debbie, she asks, is anyone experiencing issues with Spectrum internet this morning as well? Our next comment comes from Rebecca. She says, my grandchildren are here. Do they just sit there all day waiting? And fortunately, Rebecca, no, they did not have to sit there all day. Like Tasha said, around 12:30, that issue was resolved. And hopefully everybody got through it with minimal difficulty.
Before we head to break, the Winston-Salem State University community is in mourning today. The university announced that 100-year-old World War II vet Elizabeth Barker Johnson passed away Sunday. In 1943, Johnson enlisted in the U.S. Army, becoming a member of the 600th 6888th Regiment, the only all-female African-American Women's Army Corps battalion to serve overseas during World War II. Johnson later earned her degree from what was Winston-Salem State University in 1949. Now, she quickly began teaching after college and was unable to attend commencement because she couldn't find someone to substitute for her. She was finally able to walk across the stage in part of a special ceremony in her honor during commencement in May of last year. We'll be right back.
All right, I'm talking about how to rebuild trust at work when someone has broken it.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. In case you missed it earlier today on the Good Morning Show, we talked about the health benefits when a boss and employees have a trusting relationship. Employees tend to be more energetic and engaged when this happens. They tend to feel less stress, burnout, and they took less sick days. So Blanca Cobb gave some suggestions on ways to build trust at work. But now we want to flip the table, so to speak. What if you're in a job where there isn't trust and finding another job isn't an option right now because we know the current economy and job market is a little bit stressful. So what can you do to rebuild trust? Blanca joins us again this afternoon. So let's talk about how to start that process, Blanca, of rebuilding trust at work. You say it all has to do with emotions.
Yes, Maddie. So what happens when someone has broken your trust, or they've betrayed you, or they've hurt you? It is natural and justifiable for you to have some type of negative feeling or anger towards that person. But here's the catch though. If someone wants to make amends or rebuild trust, but you're looking at them like this and you're like, seriously? Can't believe you're even talking to me right now. You notice how my body language changed, my tone of voice. So what happens there is that it puts up this wall and it makes it very difficult to try to make amends or even try to rebuild trust. So that's why it's really important to identify what those emotional triggers are when you're around that person. So that way you can do something to consciously decrease them so they can become more neutral.
So what do people need to do after they identify those emotional triggers, Blanca?
they have to figure out what exactly they don't trust about the person. When you just say, I don't trust, okay, that's a very broad term. You have to narrow it and you have to be very specific. It's like going to the doctor and you tell the doctor you have a cough. What does a doctor do? The doctor's not going to take 1,000,001 tests to figure it out. The doctor's going to ask pinpointed questions to find out what exactly is contributing to that cause. How do you feel? When is it happening? Are you exercising? Are you relaxing? It's a detailed questions. The same thing you have to ask yourself about trust. Is it because this person at work is trying to get you fired or starting rumors or they're taking credit for your work? What is it that is going on? You have to be able to pinpoint with specificity what the trust issue is, because it makes it easier to try to rebuild trust around that particular problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do some soul searching first. So I imagine that next we start to point fingers and play the blame game, right, Blanca? If someone has broken your trust, you say you can be a part of the solution, but most people would say it's up to the person who actually broke the trust to fix the situation. So explain what you mean by all of that.
That's right, Maddie. So what happens is when someone wants to make amends with you, if you are standoffish or you're not helping them or you're just kind of looking at them, just waiting for them to mess up again, guess what? They're not going to be able to succeed. But if you know what the issue is and you know exactly what it's going to take, or you have an idea of what it's going to take to go over that hurdle in order to build trust, then it's a conversation, because you're going to help to remove those obstacles. And you can say something like, all right, this is the situation, how I see it, and this is what I see moving forward of how we can get past this and rebuild trust. And it's an open conversation, open dialogue where the other person can contribute and you both listen and you move from there. It helps to be more successful that way, if that working relationship is important to you.
Yeah, great tips, Blanca. Thank you so much for joining us once again on the 4 to 5. We are heading to break, but we'll be right back. Stick around.
I'm about to talk about a business in High Point that you don't have to live in High Point to know about. In fact, if you have been to downtown High Point, get this, since 1942, you might have seen it. It has been there. We're talking about the Doghouse. Of course, it's been serving that community for decades. Not even a pandemic can stop these guys. I talked with owner Gene Friedel about their success.
You know, Gene, not everybody can say that they own a business that's been around for 7+ decades. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you think the success is of that restaurant?
Well, it's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. We appreciate our customers. We love their kids who come in on Saturdays, or used to come in on Saturdays. And it's just like a family. And I think our customers appreciate that. And a lot of them, we know their names, we know what they want to eat. We have it there by the time they find a place to sit down.
Talk about how long this restaurant has been open, but also when you got the restaurant, because you've had it for decades.
We got it in 1972, I think that's correct. And my husband, Gary Friedel, just felt like it was an icon in High Point. And the people that had it were closing on Saturdays because they had to go to church on Sunday and they didn't feel like they had enough time to clean everything up.
Let's talk about through the pandemic, a lot of companies, even some of the long-standing ones, can't make it through this. How do you think you guys have made it through this problem?
We're very, very careful. And everybody's at least 6 feet away, and everybody wears masks and gloves and washes their hands, takes the gloves off to wash their hands. And we've just been really careful. And the restaurants that have closed have their wait staff, I think, ends up somebody getting the virus. And so far, we've been lucky.
Well, and during a pandemic, that type of effort really makes a difference and gets that trust with your customers. Gene, thanks so much for being with us. Good luck. I hope you're open another 75 years.
But I hope so too. Thanks, Eric.
I tell you, they have great hot dogs. I used to live in High Point at one point in my life, and I was there quite a bit. You got to check them out. And by the way, go to WFMYnews2.com. This article will be up there so we can link you to their Facebook page if you're interested. I asked you on Facebook, speaking of hot dogs, what's the best way to dress the dog? What do you like on it? We know that the Carolina style is kind of a mustard, chili, slaw, onions deal, but here's what you had to say. Barbara Nelson Goff said mustard and onions typically, but once in a while sauerkraut or chili and cheese, depends on the mood. Good for you. Glenda says, I like mustard, slaw, and chili. If we don't have slaw or chili, I'll put mustard and sweet pickle relish. Wanda says ketchup, mustard, onion, and chili for my son. Me, I love, get this, mayonnaise, slaw, onions, and chili. Never tried that. Kathy Compton says mustard, ketchup, onions, mayo, chili, and kraut the whole way there. Susie said chili, cheese, slaw, and onions. And all Janet said was, now I'm just hungry for a hot dog. And I would agree with her on that.
I'm with Janet on this one. Okay, so I know I'm going to get called out for this. So just before I say this, know that there are bigger issues in the world to worry about. But I only put ketchup on my hot dog.
I knew it.
I'm like the worst kind of person for that. I know I'm going to get called out for that one on social media.
Not going to get called out for me. I love ketchup. If it were up to me, I'd probably just put ketchup on a lot of things that people don't put ketchup on. So ketchup on the dog, we're here for it, Maddie. Myself, I like a little ketchup, mustard, and onions. And yes, now I am hungry too. What's for dinner?
I know. Now, I will eat a hot dog anyway because I love hot dogs. So no matter how it's served to me, I'm going to eat it. But if I had the choice, it's going to be ketchup only.
It's part of my job to make you all hungry and to make us all think about our food choices.
Literally
it's in my contract.
Every day. I promise you, it probably is.
Yes.
I'd like to see that contract.
Yes, it is. It's all about food. There's a big clause about that big. Let's see what's going on with temperatures across the area. 82 in Greensboro. 85 in Burlington. Winston-Salem, you have a temperature of 82, high point 84. So low to mid 80s, safe to say that's where we're going to end up today. When we talk about the forecast and rain, the showers tonight are going to be very isolated. Now, we think we're going into somewhat of a dry period, probably 20% or less for your Tuesday of a rain chance. We might even take it out for Wednesday. I think for the majority of this week after today, we'll see plenty of sun and relatively low, if any, rain chances at all. Look for that high tomorrow around 88. Now we do start building in temperature wise, get into the low 90s Wednesday, Thursday. It'll be sunny, dry, and low 90s. Friday, 30% chance of rain, a high of 89. Now Saturday, we'll bump the rain chances up just in case the remnants of Laura head our way. Not sure about that just yet, but 86, and then down to 85 and 84, and fairly dry for your Sunday and Monday.
Hello, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check.
Hey guys, mic check 1, 2. Happy Monday. It is almost 5 o'clock. Getting ready for the show.
Hi there, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Callie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, hello, hello.
It's time for my 2 cents. This past weekend, I had the time of my life because I finally watched Dirty Dancing. Never mind the fact that it's been around for more than 30 years, or it centers around dancing, which is something I love to do. I just never got around to it until I was put on the spot on Fridays 4 to 5. I have never seen Dirty Dancing.
What?
But after I finished watching the movie, I was thinking about how great it would have been to see the movie in theaters. And it made me realize I actually miss going to the movies. Remember when we could sit in a room and laugh and cry with other people? The smell of popcorn in the air, the sound of people opening their candy. It's shared experiences like those that we don't get to be a part of right now because of the pandemic. I think about the memories you make. You know, when everyone breaks into applause at the end of the movie, or we all just sit there trying to process what we just watched. That's what I miss. I miss being a part of a community doing something together. The chance to escape reality for a bit with a group of strangers. I know there are ways to do it virtually, but it's just not the same. What I wouldn't give for this to all be over and to be slightly annoyed with the person who keeps looking at their phone, because that would mean progress. Coronavirus would be behind us, and we would be able to experience moments like those together. That's my 2 cents and your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now. After several glitches last week, parents hoped week 2 of remote learning would go on without a hitch today.
But this morning, many experienced more technical problems because Zoom was down. Many teachers rely on Zoom to